WFM 91.7.
Political arena.
It's time for us to know those who have put Nigeria in this condition.
To a large extent, religious institutions in Nigeria have failed in enforcing the law, in ensuring that members are safe.
Over 180 million people, one country, one capital, 26 states, 469 national assembly seats, 774 local government areas. This is Nigeria.
You should stop doing this play game. It's not really fighting corruption, it's fighting opponents, it's fighting those who are wrong them in the past.
How well do you know the political terrain of Nigeria? Today, there is no such thing as keeping out of politics. All issues are political games, and we are the players. Political arena.
Wednesdays, 11:30 a.m.
On Women Radio.
On WFM 91.7.
Political arena. Politicking at all levels.
Good morning and welcome to Political Arena on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Thank you very much for tuning in. Political Arena is where we discuss politicking in Nigeria. And today we're speaking on Roadmap to 2023, the future of the 35% affirmative action for women's political participation. Roadmap to 2023, the future of 35% affirmative action for women's political participation. You would recall that on the 6th of April 2022, the Federal High Court of Nigeria in Abuja held the 35% affirmative action judgment in favor of the Nigerian women. And this affirmative action was backed up by President Muhammadu Buhari expressing the fact that the country will uphold this 35% affirmative action. And now tides have turned because there is still no particular ruling since the 35% affirmative action judgment was appealed by the same federal government of Nigeria through the Attorney General of the Federation. And now it begs the question, what is the future of the 35% affirmative action for women's political participation in Nigeria? Well, with me today is my guest, Engineer ROSELINE CHENGE, Action Democratic Party, ADP governorship candidate, BENUE State, discussing with us the future of the 35% affirmative action for women's political participation. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Good morning. I'm happy to be here because this is a station that has been dedicated to women, and it's so pleasing to be with you. Absolutely.
Thank you very much once again. Now, to join the conversation, the number to call is 07000-917-917. 07000-917-917. You can also send in a text message or a WhatsApp message to 0703-175-6537. 0703-175-6537. Now, first, I have to say congratulations on being the Action Democratic Party ADP candidate for governorship in Benue State. Congratulations on that one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, it has been, I can tell that it has been quite a journey, let me put it that way, quite a journey getting to where you are today. So in your experience, let me just ask this. What is your current assessment of the level of representation of women in Nigerian politics, looking at it from your view?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. For my personal assessment, it's quite discouraging because the more sensitization that is being pushed out, the more the women are now coming, are now willing to participate, the more they are being pushed back. It's quite discouraging. When I ran for the governorship of Benue State in 2007 under the People's Democratic Party, then women were just very few in Nigeria were there to say, I want to be a governor. I think we're just about 2 or 3 across the country saying, I want to be a governor. But then coming down the line, when I ran in 2015 again, still under People's Democratic Party, for the same governorship seats, because I believe seriously that we have to get it right from the executive arm of government so that everything will be settled. When I ran in 2015, I saw that the sensitization that been mapped across the country and global sensitization of women participation have actually yielded a lot of results by the women coming out from their own quiet zone and saying, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be that. So the participation of women is encouraging, but the pushback from the political parties, the pushback from the executive arm, the pushback from the legislative arm is quite discouraging. But nevertheless, we're still in the field. Today I'm the candidate of the Action Democratic Party because I believe that we must win. You know, when you're faced with challenges, you have to look for more way to succumb it. So the assessment, well, from the public view is quite discouraging, but from the women angle, the sensitization have actually made women to come up and to know their rights and to know that they have to participate in nation building.
Absolutely. Very well said. Thank you very much, Engineer Roseline. All right.
Thanks.
And it's important, something you said about the fact that you cannot give up. This has to be something that you keep doing because it's important that change starts from the executive arm. Now,
Yes.
I'm now coming to the heart of the matter, which we're discussing today, the future of the 35% affirmative action.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you feel? How did you feel when the judgment on the 35% affirmative action was passed in favor of the Nigerian women? Let's start with that. How did you feel?
First of all, when the National Assembly turned us down, it was quite a heartbroken one. It was quite like the tears shedding experience. But when the judgment came in our favor, everybody went, oh la la, here we are. Here we should go right now for 2023. And it was quite welcome across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And some other African countries called us to congratulate us and to say we're doing well. And we saw the judiciary holding the women high and strong. And then all of a sudden, when they were to forward the names of the last nominees of the ministers that were to come into the cabinet of the present government, and then the 35% affirmative that have been judged in our favor was completely disregarded, and then all 6 ministerial nominees were still made. The women raised an eyebrow, and instead of correcting it, the executive arm, which actually applauded the judiciary for this judgment, then the National Assembly, because from what I know about judiciary, when a legitimate judgment has been passed and no higher court have changed it, they are supposed to keep to the judgment that was passed earlier. So the Attorney General going for an appeal was not enough.
After 30 days. After 30 days. I have to point that out. After 30 days.
Yes, exactly. They were actually out of time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then despite that they went for appeal, since no judgment had been passed in their favor, the earlier judgment is supposed to be upheld by the National Assembly. So the 2 arms of government, the National Assembly and the executive, are actually violating the judgments that have been passed by moving ahead to confirm the nomination without taking care of the 35% affirmative action. But then that is to tell you the level of war ahead of the 2023. But then, since we have the judiciary saying exactly what it should say, we are very encouraged, and that is why somebody like myself, having run on these your so-called big political parties twice, I had to go to the Action Democratic Party, who is now offering us the opportunity to run in the general election. And so a lot of women have as well gone ahead to pick tickets on different political parties. Very few were able to be successful in the 2 major, so-called major. I don't see them as major, because if you are born of a woman, and you don't regard women, I can't call you major anyway. That's my personal
I understand that perspective.
Exactly.
I understand that perspective.
So the way forward in the 2023, I just believe that women must, just like this radio station is doing a great work by sensitizing people and telling women you can make it, is for the women to go, and the women and the female voters to be sensitized enough to vote for the women they see on their ballot papers, so that we can turn it from down, and by the time the voting comes up, nothing anybody can do. Anyway, all I can say is that quite discouraging, the legislative aspects and the executive turnaround of making appeal when it's not needed, and it's quite discouraging. But then we must continue to move ahead, because by the time we cast our vote, all the women are to vote for women. I'm telling you, I'm sorry to say, but that's my stand.
All right,
if
thank
all
you
the
very
women
much.
vote for women, and if the wives of governors and the wives of president and the wives of the president of the Senate and the wife of the speaker of the House of Representatives, if the women stand strong with us, I think we're going to win big.
I like the thought of that. I do. Thank you very much, Engineer Roseline. It's 16 minutes to 12 on Women Radio 91.7 today, and we're still discussing Roadmap to 2023, the future of the 35% affirmative action for women's political participation. The future of the 35% affirmative action for women's political participation. Now, this is actually a very, very, very serious topic to discuss. So, if you would like to contribute, the number to call is 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. Send in a text message or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. My guest today is Engineer Roseline CHENGE, Action Democratic Party ADP governorship candidate for Benue State. Now, coming back to you now, it's actually important to take the bull by the horns, as you've said already. But let me now ask what the how is. How do you say that women should take the next step and the next step and the next step to get to that point where we can achieve this 35% affirmative action in future? What are some practical steps or recommendations that you would give for women to further the advocacy and the call for 35% affirmative action?
Okay. I think the first practical action that women will take, and which we are working on it as a women group, is to appeal to the appeal courts to deliver judgment before the general election of 2023. Because if we appeal to the appeal courts to deliver the judgment on this very appeal made by the Attorney General, and by the grace of God, I know with all the statistics globally, and as well as the national statistics available, if you go to the Bureau of Statistics and you see the population of Nigeria, and then you see the number of Nigerian women, and then they are saying, look, we are almost 50-50, if not 50-something% population in Nigeria as female, and then the law says 35% participation. I know with the Bureau of Statistics telling the population of Nigerian women, if we continue to appeal to the appeal court to deliver judgment ahead of the 2023 election, it will do us a lot of good, because once this judgment is delivered, instead of pending, because when it's pending, a lot of controversies come up. But once the judgment is passed, and by the grace of God, I know it shall still be in our favor, then both the legislative arm of government and then the executive arm of government will have no choice than to abide by the appeal court ruling. By God's grace favors us. Okay. So that's the first practical thing that women have to just get done, and get done instantly. Get it? So the appeal court, we must appeal that the appeal court ruling comes before the general election of 2023.
Okay.
And then that's one practical thing. Then the women group, especially the NGOs are to step up, because most of the NGOs are doing their best, but they to step up in terms of mobilization of the female voters, as well as appealing to our traditional rulers, the male counterparts. Because I tell you, my darling, a lot of men want their daughters to be great.
Mm-hmm.
But they are toying with this law. They don't know they are toying with their daughter's future. Today is that CHENGE running for governor of BENUE State. Tomorrow it may be the former somebody's son who is a daughter who is running. So today you love your daughter, you give her the best education, and then when it's time for her to take position, this law you're making now is going to make her not to go where you want her to go. So we have to still continue to appeal to the men to let them see that this is not something strange. It is just participation. It's not as if when the women are given their rights, they are now going to become something else. They are still going to be the same mothers that you love dearly. They are still going to be the same daughters that you adore dearly. They are still going to be the same wives that you love honestly. So our appeal and our most of the NGOs, when they want to talk, they invite more women. I want them to invite more men to sensitization tours. A lot of men should come and hear so they can see that it's not a kind of rebellious group. It's not a kind of nothing so strange about the women.
All right. Let's talk about some of the political parties now. Let's talk about some political parties or the actions or actions from political parties. What are your thoughts on what political parties should do to ensure that more women are represented in government going forward, in spite of the fact that there's still a huge uncertainty about the 35% affirmative action? What moves should be made by political parties to ensure more female representation in their parties towards the future?
Okay. You know, I'm a practical person.
Yes.
I ran to be governor of Benue in 2007. I ran to be governor in 2015. I was once the general manager of the Benue State Water Board, and then I was the first female managing director of the 12 river basins in Nigeria as of 2011. So I like to be practical when I talk about things. For elected position, the die is already casted. The political parties have taken decisions. They have fielded candidates. So you can't change anything about it now. If APC have I know the only woman that is APC produced as a governorship candidate from Adamawa, she battled it in court, thanks be to God, she got her appeal done. Her appeal came out upholding her. So most of the political parties, in terms of elected positions, already have their die casted. They already have their candidate. So the only thing political parties can do now is, by the grace of God, when the government is formed, whoever takes the center government,
yes,
and by God's grace, when I take the governor of Benue State, the political parties should ensure that in appointed positions, women are well represented, and the 35% affirmative action is being considered by the parties. So for political parties right now, is basically on appointed level after the general election, and then for the candidates who have made it to become candidates of the different political party, we are urging the political parties to give them enough financial support, enough security. Hello, are you there?
Absolutely, I'm with you. Enough financial support
is a
and
major
security.
challenge of women. You heard some time back when the Kogi State woman leader of PDP was burnt, and her properties and herself burnt in her house.
That was a very sad situation.
I recently heard the Labour Party woman leader, one of this state too, had her shop and everything burnt. So we women, a lot of women, we don't engage in this toggery, and so most times when it's time for general elections, you see the women are quite vulnerable. So the political parties can as well help the women who are outspoken to give them security. And we're also calling on the Nigerian police and the Nigerian security system to watch out and look out for the women so that they don't get caught up in this type of security challenges we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So that's what I can say. So appointed position mainly for the political parties, and then security for the women out there who are pushing hard to make 35% a reality.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much today. I think that just wraps it up very beautifully, and hopefully your recommendations are listened to and implemented going forward.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to have a voice with that. And I want to applaud yourself and the entire management of the Women FM that this is the right thing in the right direction. It's going to go a long way.
Thank you so much once again. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
God bless you. Thank you.
Engineer ROSELINE CHENGE, ADP candidate for governorship in Benue State. And basically, she's recommending that the political parties should ensure that in appointed positions,